Hi everyone. So today we are going to build an agent using flows on the Google Cloud platform. The difference between playbooks and flows is that playbooks are more generative in nature, where you can actually use natural language to guide the conversation, and it's easier to make, but you have less control over how the conversation flows because of the generative nature of the agent. Flows are more deterministic in nature because you code in specific intents and the agent matches the user instructions to a particular intent and then takes that particular path in the flow. And you can incorporate generative features inside the flows using generators and callbacks, and we're going to look at all of that while making our agent today. So before we start, you need to set up a Google Cloud project, and one you can do that by basically following the instructions in one of the videos that we have done previously, where you can actually sign up for a Google account and also get their free credits, so you don't need to actually spend your own money while you're testing out these features. Once you have done that, you can actually go to console.cloud.google.com by searching for Google Cloud Console. Once you are on the Google Cloud Console, you can actually select a project or create a new project by clicking here. Just click on new project and let's call this project Flow Agent Project, and let's click on create. And we see that the project is being created over here. Once the project is created, you can select it from here or by clicking over here. So let's select the project by directly clicking here, and you see that this is now your active project. Now let's enable the Dialogflow API. So you can search for Dialogflow API, select the API result from here, and then click on enable. This will take a moment, and once it is enabled, you will see a results page, and that page looks like this, and now this API is enabled for us. Okay, so now we need to open the Dialogflow CX console, so you can just search for it. When you open this console, select on all projects and then click on Flow Agent Project over here, and it shows that no agent is created yet. So let's click on create agent and let's click on build your own. Let's call it a flow agent. You can give it any name you want. I'm going to let the location be and the time zone be, and also the default language to be as it is, and click on create. Okay, and you get a message that try out the recently launched conversational agents console. So let's click on that. So let's minimize the build tab over here. So you have a build and a manage tab over here. In the build tab, you see all your flows over here, and you can actually then select playbooks, tools, pre-builds. You have a conversation history, you have environments, versions, integrations, and conversation profiles. So we'll actually now work with flows, and you have a default start flow which Google makes for you to actually start the conversation. You can hide the simulator by clicking the toggle button over here, and you have your start page in the default start flow, which is shown over here. And you have the manage tab, which basically has other resources. So you have intents. These are pre-coded intentions that you expect the user to display, and then you match it to those pre-coded intentions based on the user input, and then take a particular action in the flow. There are entity types which basically represent the kind of entities that you want to record during your agent conversation, like data points collected from the user, etc. There are webhooks which basically can call your own APIs and then return data and responses from there. There are generators which basically take in user input, and using some of the saved parameters, they can actually use an LLM to generate a response and then return that to the user or save it as a parameter as well. There's a default welcome intent, which basically means that you can add some phrases like hi and hello, which basically show that this input from the user should be matched to a welcome intent, and then you can code an action for that hi to like, for example, you want to use this to greet the user, etc. Alright, so just with this, we can actually go to the build tab, and we have a start page over here, and we can just test out what this agent does right now. So you click on toggle simulator, choose the environment as draft, select the default start flow, which means this, and we select the start page. This is where we are going to start the testing, and we just enter introductory phrase like hi, and then you should see the agent respond with a default response, and this is basically because there's a default welcome intent which responds to the hi phrase as hello, how can I help you. So now we can close this simulator. So when you sent the hi message, this was the active flow, and this was the start page, which was the first page in the flow. It was the active page. So now the agent evaluated whether your input matches any of the intents, and it found that it matched the default welcome intent. Now when we look at this default welcome intent, it has a fulfillment associated with it, which basically means how does the agent fulfill the response to this particular message. And there are several agent responses that have been provided as default responses. The agent just picked one of them at random and supplied that response to you on the chat interface. There's nothing more to do right now, so the agent does not do anything else and just provides that response. Okay, so now we can edit the default response from the agent. So what we can do is we can add something like this: hello, this is a shirt ordering virtual agent, how can I help you? And you can delete the others over here, and then you can click on save. So now as a default welcome message, your agent, whenever you say hi, so you can actually replay the conversation by clicking this particular button, and now this says hello, this is a shirt ordering virtual agent, how can I help you? The replay button just helps you to send the message that you sent earlier again, and then see the response that you have actually coded in over here. Alright, so let's close this, and now what you have is a start page where the agent welcomes you. Now since we are basically following an example of creating a shirt ordering agent, one of the intents of the user could be to find out where the store is located, what are directions, and so on. And they can't do this on this particular page. We'll have to create an intent that matches to that particular request from the user, and when that intent is matched, we basically move on to another page which then manages that particular interaction. Alright, so right now we have the start page only. For that, we first will go to the manage tab and create a new intent. So we can go to intents over here and click on create. Let's put store.location, and let's add some training phases to tell our agent what the kind of user queries or inputs that should be matched to this particular intent. So let me say where's the store. So we've added these several training phases, and anything that is similar to this will be matched to this particular intent, which is store.location. I'll just add this name again, and we can click on save. So now you have this new intent. What you can do is you can go back to the build tab, click on the start page, and then add a new intent. So let's select the store.location intent, and what this basically means is that we are adding a route to the default start flows start page, and whenever the intent is matched to store.location, that is the user is trying to find out about the store. And there are some other conditions that you can actually put in, but we don't want that. We just want this to transition to a new page. All right, so whenever somebody asks about the store, transition to a new page, and then we click and add that new page, and let's give that page a name called store location, and then let's click on save. All right, and let's close this. Okay, so I think this did not save properly, so let's click on save again, and now we have saved the route. So you see that now there's a store.location intent over here, and when you minimize this start page by clicking on the top, you can see that there's a store location page over here, right? Now you can click this page, and there's something called an entry fulfillment. Now this will be called whenever this particular page becomes active, and you can click on edit fulfillment over here, and you can add an agent response. Let's add an agent dialog, and let's say we say our store is located at 1007 Mountain Drive, Gotham City, New Jersey, and you can click on add over here and then click on save. So this is a pretty simple page that whenever you enter this page, it just responds by saying that our store is located at this particular address. Okay, so now let's test this out. So you can go to the simulator over here, and you can enter the next thing, and you've already entered hi, so we can actually replay this conversation. So the hi still evaluates to the default welcome intent, which says that hello, this is a shirt ordering virtual agent, how can I help you? And let's say I say what is the store location and send that message. Now this is matched to the particular intent that we had over here, which is the store.location intent. This makes the store location page active, and the entry fulfillment which says our store is located at 1007 Mountain Drive. This particular entry fulfillment is triggered, and that's why you see this message over here. Alright, so now we can close the simulator and we can go to the start page, and let's add a new intent for store hours. And you can just click on this plus button over here and go to intent, and then add a new intent over here, and let's call this store.hours, and let's add some training phrases over here. So I've added these two: what time do you close and what are your store hours, and let's click on save. This gives us our intent, and let's click on save again to add this as a route over here. So now whenever you ask for store hours, It's going to match to this particular route, and then you can go ahead and click on transition to a page. So just note that this is the route which is triggered when your query matches the intent for store.hours, and how it is fulfilled is basically defined over here. And over here we are ignoring all this, and we're just asking it to transition to a new page. Right now that new page does not exist, so we select new page over here and we give it a name. Let's call it store hours and click on save. So now you can close this and you can minimize the start page, and now you see that the other intent now goes to a different branch in the flow, which is the store hours page. You can go over here and similarly edit the entry fulfillment over here, and then you can add an agent response. So the entry fulfillment is triggered whenever this page will become active, and you have an agent response over here. Let's add an agent dialog, and let's add we are open from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Let's click on add and let's click on save. Alright, so now you have added the store hours page as well to your flow, and now this is how our flow looks. Now let's follow the next step of creating something around ordering the shirt from our shirt ordering agent. So what we can do is we can first create an entity that basically represents the shirt size. So let's go to manage, let's click on entity types, and this is basically the type of information you can gather. There are some predefined ones which are system entities, and there are custom ones that you can create. So for the shirt size, we'll create a custom entity. So click on create new. Let's name this size. Alright, and let's add 3 reference values over here: small, medium, and large. Let's add some synonyms over here, and once you've done that, you can click on save and you'll have this entity type available now in your agent. Let's go back to the build tab. Alright, so let's create a new order page similar to the location and the hours page, which is basically going to handle the shirt order for us. So we click on plus over here, we can call it new order, and this creates this new page which we are going to set up now. So let's click on this and click on edit, and you have an entry fulfillment over here. So we're just going to add an entry fulfillment over here. We'll add a dialog response and agent dialog, and we'll just say okay, let's start a new order. So whenever this page becomes active, this is what the agent is going to say, and let's click on add over here and let's click on save. So the next step is that we're going to add form parameters to this particular page. So these are basically data items that need to be collected from the user on the page. So we're going to click on parameters over here and click on add parameters, and we're going to add 2 parameters. So one is the size parameter. For this we already defined an entity, so we'll just use size, which is the entity type that we defined, which can be small, medium or large with the synonyms that we specified. And this is a required entity because we want the agent to definitely collect this. We need to provide a prompt that the agent can use to collect this particular parameter when it comes onto this particular page. So we just add a very simple one over here which says what size do you want, and click on add over here, right? And this completes the size parameter for us. Let's click on save and click on back, and we want to add one more parameter over here. So let's add that, and we'll call this color. And we haven't defined any entity type for this, but there is a system entity which is predefined, which is called sys.color, and we select that. Again, this is a required parameter, and for the prompt fulfillment we can add a dialog response. So the agent is going to say this when it tries to collect this piece of information, and this is going to be what color would you like, and this completes this particular parameter. We can again click on save over here. So now we go back to the page and we see that there are these 2 parameters, and whenever this page becomes active, this is the first message that the agent is going to ask, and then it's going to try to collect these 2 parameters from the user. These 2 list of parameters define what we call a form for this particular page, and the agent is going to use the prompts that we have specified to collect these particular parameters from the user, which is called form filling. These are also called page parameters. And what we need to just remember is that we are going to collect these 2 particular values from the user whenever this page becomes active. Alright, so now we have set this page up. What we can do is we can go to the flow again, and we can go to a start page, and we can add a new route over here, and let's create a new intent over here, which is basically going to be the order intent. let's call it order.new, and I'm going to just add one simple training phrase over here, which is I want to order a shirt. Let's click on add. Yeah, so I've added that training phrase over here, and let's click on save, and let's click on save again to save the route. So now you have this particular route, which is order.new, and what you can do is to fulfill this route, you can actually transition to the page which is your new order page. And now you can click on save, and once you close this, now you see that you have a start page which is going to greet the user, and if they want to make a new order by saying I want to order a shirt, they'll actually the agent will transition them to the new order page. On the new order page, the greeting is going to be okay, let's start a new order, and then it's going to ask you for the size and color. Alright, so on the new order page, we'll start by saying okay, let's start a new order. After this, we want the agent to say that I would like to collect some more information from you. So what we can do is we can add a route for this, and we click on add route, and this is a conditional route. So we'll just select customize expression and add true over here. So this is always run, and what we can say is that the agent is going to say I'd like to collect a bit more information from you. So what we're trying to say is that the agent is always going to say this line after it says okay, let's start a new order, and this just makes the conversation more natural, and we can click on save over here. So now this is a default route that is always going to be called. Now we can call another route over here. This is a route which basically has to be triggered whenever both these parameters are collected. So right now we are saying okay, let's start a new order. I would like to collect some information from you, a bit more information from you, which is basically based on this route, and then it's going to ask the questions to collect these two over here. And once it has done that, I want to say that page.params.status equal to final. So this route is basically evaluated whenever we have collected both these particular parameters, and once these are collected, we can ask the agent to say something and then transition to a new page. So first, let's add the agent response after collecting these two parameters. Let that be you have selected a session params size, session params color shirt. So you have selected a large red shirt, for example, and you can click on add over here, and then we can ask it to actually transition to a new page, and this can be a order confirmation page. So for now, there's no actual order happening at the back end, so we're just going to create a new page which is called order confirmation, which is always going to confirm the order for the user. Let's click on save over here. So now you have this order confirmation page, and we can add an entry fulfillment over here, which is basically going to be run whenever this page becomes active, and this can just be the agent saying that your order is confirmed. So what we'll say is you can pick up your order for a large red shirt, for example, in 7 to 10 business days. Goodbye. That's a pretty slow order delivery, but let's add that for now. Let's click add, and that's what the order confirmation page does. Simply just confirms whatever order the user places. And let's click on save over here. Okay, now once we have done all this and the order is confirmed, we want to end the flow. So we're going to add a route for this, and again, since this particular page is just showing this message, after showing this message it should automatically end the flow. So what we can actually do is that we can go and add a condition which is a customized expression over here, and we can add true, and then we can, for fulfillment, transition to a particular page. And let's see if we have a end session page over here, so we can actually end the session itself rather than just the flow, and we can click on save. So now we have this new route over here to end the session, which is just a true condition. And now here is our entire flow. So just to summarize, we start at the start page, and then if the user asks for the store location, it is matched to that particular intent, which transitions to the store location page, and over there the location entry fulfillment is run and the location is provided. Similarly, there's an intent for store hours, and if that is matched, we provide the store hours. And if there's an intention for ordering a new shirt, like I want to order a shirt, it matches with that particular intent that transitions to the new order page. The new order page collects two parameters, so it basically has a true condition root, which basically says that I want to collect some more information, and then it has two parameters with their own prompt fulfillments, which basically ask for the size and the color of the shirt. And once those parameters are finalized and the form is filled, it basically transitions to the order confirmation page. The order confirmation page just by default confirms the order and asks the user to pick it up in 7 to 10 days. And by a true condition root, it basically goes and ends the session. So now we can actually test this out and let's see if this works well. So we'll start in on the default start flow on the start page and say hi. And let's just say I want to order a shirt. So this is the default welcome intent on the start page. Okay, so now since I've added this, it says, okay, let's start a new order. This is the entry fulfillment for the new order page. I'd like to collect a bit more information from you. This is the true condition root that we added over here. And now it's trying to collect the parameters. So what size do you want? Let's say large. And again, since this page has again become active, it says I'd like to collect a bit more information from you again, which is the true condition root. Then says what color would you like? Let's say yellow. And we can definitely modify this true condition root. Maybe we don't have this, or maybe we only requested somehow to ask it only to present this particular line only once, but it does get us the answer, which is that you have selected a large yellow shirt. And since these parameters are now finalized, this message is displayed, which is the page.params.status equal to final condition being true. And then it transitions to your order confirmation page, which says you can pick up your order for a large yellow shirt. So it's able to carry the parameters in the session forward to the new page in 7 to 10 business days, and goodbye. And after this, the true condition is invoked, which will basically end the session. So that's how this particular flow agent works. And as you see, this is very deterministic. You are fully in control of what happens, where the agent flows. And there is this aspect of generators. So what you can do is you can actually go to generators and you can add a new generator by clicking on create. And let's say you wanted to add a generator that provided some kind of welcome greeting message to your user. So let's say fun greeting, and you can add a text prompt. So what you can do is you can ask the generator to generate a fun greeting for the user who has come to order a shirt to a website, right? And you can use whatever model you want over here. It's very strange that Google has not introduced the latest models over here, so but we'll just use Gemini 1.0 Pro, and let's increase the token limit maybe a little bit. And let's click on save, right? And then what you can do is you can go to your start page, and on the default welcome intent, let's close the simulator for now. You can go to the start page again, and on the default welcome intent, for fulfillment you can actually use generators, and you can add a generator over here. And let's say we use the fun greeting generator over here, and the output parameter is going to be saved in this particular variable. So it's going to be request.generative.greeting. And what you can do over here is you can actually respond with this particular greeting, right? So now you have actually used a generative response in your particular agent. And let's click on save over here, right? And this is not going to affect our flow because this is just the welcome intent. After that, whatever the user says is going to be used to match one of these particular intents. So let's close this and let's just test it out, right? And let's reset the conversation, start at the default start flow and start page, and let's say hi over here. Okay, and since the prompt for the generator was very generic, so it has actually specified, welcome to the shirt zone where style meets comfort. Hey there, fashionista, ready to upgrade your wardrobe with a shirt that's as unique as you. And this is the greeting message that the generator has created. So this is just a sample of how you can create a generative response You can of course modify the generative prompt to be more specific around what you want the generative response to be like. So that's all for this particular video, and this particular session or this particular lecture now basically completes creating agents using flows. What basically remains is that you can actually add more flows, and when we transition to different pages based on some conditions, you can actually transition to another flow, where the other flow might be used for a different aspect of the conversation which is distinct from this particular default start flow. So you can have you can break your entire agent experience into multiple flows, and each flow can have multiple page, and then you can multiple pages, and then you can actually flow the conversation through these pages and transition to different flows as and when required. You can have these parameters that I just showed you. You can save them into the session or into the as page parameters or session parameters. You can save them as session parameters, and then you can use them in your generators. The generators can be used as a method of fulfillment, and so that you can actually use the large language models to provide a more customized response to your user. Thanks for watching. Please do like the video if you found it helpful, and do subscribe to the channel. And there are some other videos on generative AI which talk around basic agent concepts and using playbooks to create agents. Please do have a look at those particular videos as well. Thank you very much.